everyone, and thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of One Heavenly Kitchen. As you may have known, I've been a little bit sick, and I've also noticed the weather has been getting colder and colder, so I thought it would be really cool this week to make a quick and easy soup recipe, sort of a comfort food thing. So I have a great recipe for an apple sausage potato soup, and I'm going to show you how to make it right now. So I went ahead and prepped and pre-cut everything, and what I'm going to do first is I have, well, you're supposed to use about 4 really large baking potatoes, but I had 6 sort of small ones, so I've peeled those and cubed them. I'm going to put them in my stock pot here, and what we want to do is just use some chicken broth, and we're actually going to simmer those in the chicken broth while we cook the rest of the ingredients to add to the soup. And that kind of eliminates the need to add any spices because all the potatoes is going to soak in all the flavor from the broth, and you're really going to like this. I actually need to get this started before we do everything else because these need to simmer for about 20 minutes. On my front burner, I've just put a couple tablespoons of butter into this pan here, and it's just melted. So it's always hard for me to tell you exact ingredients, but if about 3/4 cup of maybe a little more diced or chopped onion, I'm just going to put that in there and start to make that so that it's soft and cook it until it's about translucent before we add our next ingredient. Now that our onions have just started to change color, sort of lighten up, our next ingredient is same thing, about 3/4 cups of sliced celery. We're just going to add that. And I have 1 pound of apple sausage. Now, of course, mine is a vegetarian version, but I cubed it up, and it's going to be just as good, I promise. We're going to keep this here in the pan and keep cooking this until the celery starts to get soft. We've got our potatoes on the front burner now, and they've been simmering for a little bit until they're just soft enough to add our sausage mixture that we made while they were boiling or simmering. What I'm going to do is stir this in, and of course it's going to really start soaking up all the liquid, but don't worry because we're going to add more. You can never have enough butter, so I want to take 2 more tablespoons of butter and add that to the mixture. So what I'm going to do is just make sure that this is fully mixed. And our next ingredient is actually just a thing of sour cream. You can put as much as you want. I usually use a little bit more because we can use the liquid for it. And I've turned the heat down. It's on about 4 on my electric burner. I wish I had a gas stove. Now I'm going to add a thing of heavy whipping cream. I'm going to make sure that this is all mixed up before we add our secret ingredient. Just got all of our sour cream and heavy whipping cream thoroughly mixed in. The next step is to add what I like to call a secret ingredient because it just seems so strange to me, but actually is you can taste it when you're done and you taste the soup. You can tell that this is what makes the soup. Actually going to use half a tablespoon of pure vanilla extract. Put that in there, and then what you want to do is take 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar and add that to your soup. It seemed like the most bizarre thing when I first read the recipe, but I haven't had a potato soup that compares to this. This one, it's definitely these 2 ingredients that make the soup what they are. So, we've got that, And I'm just going to stir all that in before we add our final ingredient, which is just some shredded cheddar cheese. Now that all the vanilla and balsamic vinegar is thoroughly mixed into our potato soup, I shredded about 1 cup of cheddar cheese, and we're just going to slowly melt that in here. And that's pretty much all there is to do with our soup. It can cook a little bit longer. The more that the potatoes sort of start to disintegrate, it gets to be more of a creamy soup, or you could eat it right now. Personally, I like to leave the soup cooking for just a little bit longer because I really kind of want it to be almost more like a chowder, a real thick consistency. So while we're just having that finish up here, what I did is I sliced a few slices of bread. I mixed up some garlic seasoning and melted butter, poured that over here, topped it with some grated Parmesan. I've got the oven set to broil. I'm just going to pop those in there until they get a little bit golden brown because comfort food for me, if you can't tell already in my PJs, is also lots of carbs. So we've got our potatoes, we've got our bread, lots of butter, and I'm getting ready to finish that up and go cuddle up on the couch. The TV shows always say, oh my gosh, I wish you could smell this, but I really do. It smells so good in here, and I'm really just excited about my potato soup. Potato is like one of my favorite foods in the whole world anyways, so I'm going to just serve myself up a bowl here. I just pulled my bread out of the oven, and it doesn't take long to cook that, so keep an eye on it because I always burn the bread. You can see, perfect this time. So that's it for now. I hope you guys try this. I promise you're going to love it. But now it's time for me to go eat. Thanks, you guys. Bye.